Most people will never tell you to your face that your habits are driving them away. They will just slowly stop calling, find excuses to skip family dinners, and leave you wondering why the house feels so quiet. Aging is tough enough on its own, but the real tragedy is when people make themselves lonely without even realizing it. There are 13 specific, ugly habits that creep up on us as we get older. These aren't just minor quirks. They are absolute relationship killers that make friends and family quietly back out of your life. If you want to know what these habits are and how to spot them before it is too late, you need to look at what is really happening behind closed doors. The invisible wall. Getting older changes how we see the world, but it also changes how the world sees us. It is very easy to fall into a routine and think that everything we do is completely fine. After all, we have decades of experience. We have survived tough times, raised families, worked hard, and earned the right to live life on our own terms. But there is a very thin line between being set in your ways and becoming someone that people dread being around. The scariest part about these 13 habits is that no one will ever sit you down and tell you the truth. Your kids won't say it because they don't want to hurt your feelings. Your old friends won't say it because it is easier to just drift away. People are terrified of confrontation, especially with someone older. So instead of speaking up, they just choose distance. You are left in the dark, thinking everything is normal, while your social circle shrinks smaller and smaller every year. The 13 habits that drive people away. 1. Living in the back-in-my-day trap. It is completely natural to look back at the past with fond memories. The music was better, things were cheaper, and life felt simpler. But when every single conversation you have turns into a lecture about how much better the past was compared to the modern world, people quickly tune out. When you constantly say things were better 40 years ago, you are indirectly telling the person next to you that their current life, their struggles, and their world do not matter. Younger generations feel judged and bored. They live in the present, and if you refuse to join them there, they will leave you behind in the past. 2. Becoming an unofficial medical reporter. Health issues are a real part of getting older. Knees hurt, sleep gets difficult, and doctor appointments fill up the calendar. But there is nothing that kills the mood of a lively dinner faster than a 20-minute, detailed description of your latest medical procedure or digestive issues. Sharing a quick update with loved ones is perfectly fine. Making your aches and pains the main event of every conversation is exhausting. People want to connect with you, the person, not your medical chart. If every talk feels like a visit to a hospital waiting room, people will start avoiding the conversation altogether. 3. The one-way conversation street. Have you ever talked to someone who only waits for their turn to speak? This habit gets significantly worse with age. It is easy to feel like your stories are the most important because you have lived through so much. You might find yourself interrupting others to tell a similar story from your own life, or completely ignoring what the other person just said so you can transition back to your favorite topic. Relationships are a two-way street. The moment a conversation becomes a monologue, the other person feels like an audience member instead of a friend. Eventually, they will stop showing up to the show. 4. Unsolicited advice and constant criticism. Because you have lived longer, you genuinely feel like you know the best way to do things. You know how to save money, how to cook a proper meal, and how to raise children. But offering advice when nobody asked for it feels exactly like criticism to the person receiving it. Whether it is commenting on a grandchild's outfit, critiquing how your adult child manages their house, or telling a friend how they should spend their weekend, it pushes people away. People want your support and your love, not a constant performance review of their life choices. 5. Staying glued to the news and outrage. It is very easy to fall into the trap of watching 24-hour news networks or scrolling through angry social media posts all day long. This constant feed of negativity changes your personality. You start seeing danger everywhere. You become angry about things you cannot control. Every conversation becomes a political debate or a complaint about how the world is going downhill. People naturally move toward positivity and warmth. If you radiate constant anger, anxiety, and doom, people will protect their own peace by staying away from you. 6. Using age as a free pass for bad manners. Some people reach a certain birthday and decide they no longer need to use a filter. They say rude things, make offensive comments, or treat servers and store clerks poorly, and then laugh it off by saying, "I am old. I can say whatever I want." Age does not grant anyone a license to be mean or disrespectful. In fact, people expect older individuals to be wiser and kinder. When you use your age as an excuse to be rude, it does not make you look tough or funny. It just makes you look bitter, and it embarrasses the people who are with you. 7. Refusing to learn anything new. The world moves fast, especially when it comes to technology. It is completely fine to find new gadgets frustrating, but completely shutting down and proudly refusing to learn how to use a smartphone, an app, or a computer puts a heavy burden on everyone around you. When you say, "I don't do computers," you are actually asking your children or friends to become your personal assistants for the rest of your life. It forces them to book your flights, order your items, or fix your settings. Technology keeps us connected. Refusing to learn it isolates you and annoys the people who have to do the work for you. 8. The trap of competitive suffering. This happens when someone mentions a problem and you immediately try to top it with a worse problem of your own. If a coworker mentions they are tired, you tell them they don't know what real tiredness is until they reach your age. If a friend mentions a headache, you bring up your chronic migraines. This is not connecting. It is competing. It makes the other person feel like their feelings and struggles are invalid. Everyone wants to be heard. If you always turn their problems into a contest that you have to win, they will stop sharing their life with you. 9. Neglecting personal hygiene and surroundings. As energy levels drop, keeping up with daily chores and grooming can become difficult. But neglecting your personal hygiene, your clothes, or the cleanliness of your home is a major reason why people stop visiting. Bad odors, messy spaces, and unwashed clothes make guests feel highly uncomfortable. They won't tell you because it is incredibly awkward to bring up, but they will quietly decide to meet you at a restaurant instead of your house, or they might just stop inviting you over altogether. Staying clean and tidy is a sign of respect for yourself and for the people who care about you. 10. Trapped in absolute certainty. There is a massive difference between having strong values and refusing to believe you could ever be wrong. When people get older, their opinions can harden like cement. They become completely closed off to new ideas, alternative viewpoints, or changes in societal values. If you treat every single one of your opinions as an absolute fact, conversations become impossible. People will feel like they are walking on eggshells around you, terrified of triggering an argument. To avoid the stress, they will choose to simply not talk to you at all. 11. Oversharing personal and intimate details. Boundaries are essential at any age, but some people lose their sense of boundaries as time goes on. This can mean talking about financial struggles, old family secrets, or deeply personal relationship issues with people who barely know you. Oversharing makes acquaintances feel trapped and uncomfortable. It puts a heavy emotional weight on someone who was just trying to have a casual, polite conversation. Keep intimate details for your absolute closest inner circle, and let casual conversations stay light and fun. 12. Constant guilt tripping and emotional demands. It is lonely when the house is empty, and it hurts when family members are too busy to visit as often as you would like. But using guilt to force people to spend time with you backfires completely. Saying things like, "Oh, look who finally remembered I exist," or, "Well, I might not be around much longer anyway," makes people feel terrible. It turns a potential visit into a chore driven by guilt rather than a desire to see you. People will visit out of obligation, but they will look for the fastest exit possible. 13. The total loss of curiosity. The moment you stop asking questions about the world, about new books, about movies, or about the lives of the people around you, your world shrinks to the size of your living room. When you lose curiosity, you stop being an interesting person to talk to. If you never ask your grandkids about their hobbies or your friends about their trips, you are signaling that you only care about your own immediate circle of reality. Curiosity keeps your mind sharp and keeps people coming back to talk to you. The real threat to your future. The true danger here is a psychological concept known as the comfort zone of bitterness. It is very easy to slowly slide into these habits because they feel comfortable. Complaining feels good in the moment because it releases frustration. Giving unsolicited advice makes us feel important and needed. Staying home and refusing to learn new things keeps us safe from the fear of failure. But every time you give in to one of these habits, you are placing a heavy brick in a wall that separates you from the rest of the world. The statistics on loneliness in older age are genuinely alarming. Studies consistently show that social isolation is just as damaging to your physical health as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. It increases the risk of heart disease, stroke, and dementia. The problem is that the wall is built one small brick at a time. It doesn't happen overnight. You don't wake up one morning completely isolated. It happens when you make that one sarcastic comment to a clerk, when you complain about the news for the third time in an hour, or when you make your adult child feel guilty for working late. Each moment pushes people an inch away. Over 5, 10, or 15 years, those inches turn into miles. The turning point. The good news is that you have complete control over this. The wall can be taken down just as easily as it was built. It all starts with a simple choice to practice self-awareness. The next time you are in a conversation, pay close attention to how much you are speaking versus how much you are listening. Take a breath before you offer advice, and ask yourself if the other person actually asked for your help or if they just wanted to vent. Smile at the cashier, even if the line is moving incredibly slow. Call a family member just to tell them you love them and that you are proud of them, without asking for anything in return or making them feel guilty for not calling you first. When you shift your focus from what the world owes you to what you can offer to the world, everything changes. People will notice the warmth. They will notice that you are safe to talk to, that you don't judge, and that you actually care about their lives. Suddenly, the phone starts ringing again. The invitations come back. You don't have to be a perfect person, you just have to be a pleasant one. Loneliness is not an inevitable part of getting older. It is a result of the habits we choose to keep.